Ms. Wong, Dr. Keogh, members of the school committee, invited guests, my friends and colleagues on the faculty, parents, members of the class of 2011. A few months ago, I had occasion to write a thank you note to the faculty for a kindness they had shown me. In that note, I lamented the fact that I'm not a person of words. I'm a person of numbers. I wasn't sure if I could express my true thoughts. I'm certainly more comfortable diagramming sentences than constructing meaningful ones. Well, this is again one of those times when I would love to temporarily borrow some of the skills of my colleagues in the English department. So let me put myself at ease by starting off mentioning two numbers, 60% and 2011. First, 60%. You measure a person's life chronologically from the moment of birth. For me, that was April 16, 1946, 65 years ago. 60% of 65 is exactly 39. The exact number of years I've taught in that old brick building standing behind me. 60% of my life has been in that building. I'm going to be very happy to move into the new school, but I will carry with me so many memories of the old one. The second number is, not surprisingly, 2011. 25 years from now, when you're attending your class reunion, I'm fairly certain that all of the childish labels that you may have been tagged with, jock, brain, geek, whatever, will have been washed away, and you will be as you should be, one class, indivisible. Not really surprising to me, since 2011 is a prime number. And as we all know, primes are indivisible except by the trivial factors of one in itself. There, I feel comfortable. Now I can really begin. Sometimes after eating supper, I sit down to watch TV for a while before tackling my schoolwork. One show that I enjoy watching is any rerun of CSI. The opening theme music always gets me thinking. It's a 60s rock song by Pete Townsend called Who Are You? The main character, a forensic pathologist named Dr. Gil Grissom, comes on the screen. And I start thinking, who am I? Boy, I sometimes wish I could be like him. Incredibly knowledgeable, brilliantly logical, coldly analytical. Then a commercial comes on. Reality sets in, and I remember I got a set of papers to grade and a worksheet to make up for tomorrow. But the question still remains, who are you? We are all complex, multifaceted individuals, the product of so many inputs. Who I am is already documented somewhere. It's not exactly a story that Hollywood's going to make a movie out of. High school, college, army, marriage, teacher, children, teacher, grandchildren, teacher, teacher. Fairly mundane and typical for someone of my age. Who are you? I know that almost all of you have addressed this question in your senior paper. Many of you are incredibly self-perceptive. However, truth be told, you're only 17 or 18 years old. Who you are now may differ from who you'll be at 65. So let me address this by saying who I would aspire to be and who I hope you become. Sit back, erase the blackboard, whiteboard, or smartboard of your mind, and think about this question, who are you? As I tell you a story. Many of you hold part-time jobs. It's nice to earn some money. Perhaps you can help pay for college, or maybe you can just buy your own things. Well, I know a man who was working at the age of 13, but he worked 100 hours a week for $7 a week. That's 7 cents an hour. Well, the year was 1931, the Great Depression. Everyone needed money just to eat and to keep a bank from foreclosing on their house. In spite of all the hard work by this man, his father, and most of his 11 brothers and sisters, the family did lose their home when they could not come up with $75 yearly real estate tax. This man worked so many hours that he'd fall asleep in school. The teachers and administrators, not being quite as sympathetic as they are today, kicked him out in the 8th grade. Truly a shame, for he was a brilliant person. Who are you? Are you resilient, hardworking? Who am I? I think I work hard, but not the back-breaking work that this man did. I've been lucky. This man continued working these long, hard hours for the next 9 years. Then in 1940, he got himself a steady job, paid better wages for what he thought would be fewer hours. He joined the Army. After 18 months of training, this man spent 1942 to 1945 in a circle of the inferno far beyond anything that Dante could have imagined. Included in these years were hand-to-hand combat, multiple bullet wounds, visits to Kasserine Pass in Africa, the hills of Sicily, the beaches of Normandy, and the Ardennes forest. This man stood tall in hell. Who are you? Are you incredibly brave and courageous? Who am I? I have a medal. It says that someone thought I once did something noteworthy. But brave? No way. I was there. I was just one of the boys doing what everyone else was doing, keeping my head down. This man came home with a need for multiple surgeries from his war wounds, gallbladder, kidney, liver, intestines, as well as suffering from post-traumatic stress, except that back then no one had ever heard of that term before. He spent months and months in a VA hospital. During this time, he actually managed to get married and start a family. By the early 1950s, he had 4 children. But 8th grade dropouts don't earn a lot of money. He had to support his wife and 4 kids on $40 a week. In spite of this, he was a generous, giving person. I know he once spent $80 to buy his 8-year-old son a very special bicycle. Who are you? Are you incredibly generous and giving, perhaps even beyond your means? Who am I? My wife and I give to some charities and donate to our church, but nothing on the level this man did. This man moved his family to another town, got another job, eventually became reasonably successful and earned a good salary. After working hard all his life, he turned 65. I'm certain he was looking forward to retirement. However, just after his 65th birthday, he was asked to go with his wife to a doctor's appointment. There he was told that his beloved wife had contracted amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease. Because of this, he needed to continue to work, even harder than before. He needed money for medical bills. He needed the insurance coverage. Doctors told him he should place his wife in a hospital or nursing facility. Not this man. He rebuilt the living room of his house into a virtual hospital room, complete with respirators, oxygen tanks, feeding machines, handicapped bathroom. Also, his wife could stay in the comfort of her home rather than some strange place. He paid for 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day nursing. When a nurse was not available for an evening shift, this man would nurse his wife all night long, after working a full day at his regular job. His golden years were crumbling into dust. Who are you? Can you persevere under the most trying of circumstances? Will you eventually find someone you love so much that you would do anything for that person? Who am I? 45 years ago, I met the love of my life, but I've never had to face anything like this. Mercifully, this man's wife passed away 5 years later. He was 70 years old, alone, no wife, children married, gone off with families of their own, friends retired and moved away. Not having anything else, he did what he's always done. He continued to work at the same job. And he did so until he was 92. During this time, his thoughts turned to giving to others. In his mind, he wanted to share all the blessings and good fortune he felt he had received throughout his life. He established a scholarship fund. And during the last year of his life, he gave over $100,000 to various charities and groups. As you may have gathered, I know this man pretty well. He was my father. Next Thursday, Dad would have turned 93. He passed away in March. If he were here today to hear me speak, he'd probably be a little tired after pulling a 6-hour shift as a sheet metal fabricator at the Century Manufacturing Company in Holliston. Who am I? I wish I were more my father's son. This man worked so hard all his life. I've had it easy. He displayed incredible resiliency, generosity, both as a 13-year-old and as a senior citizen. He displayed extraordinary courage and bravery as a 25-year-old. Every day of his life, he exemplified all of these qualities. I can only aspire to this. Who are you? As you enter adulthood, go through your middle years, and become senior citizens, I hope you can demonstrate some, if not all, of the qualities my father manifested. If you can, your already proud parents will be extraordinarily proud. Your teachers from kindergarten until you end your formal education will be incredibly pleased and satisfied. You will be a better person. Perhaps more importantly, the world will be a better place. Thanks, Dad.